Let's build a 3D product configurator using Three.js and React 3 Fiber. Hi, maybe you're just like me and you recently finished new Three.js Journey lessons about React 3 Fiber. But it's time to go further and practice a little bit. I wanted to build something useful that is a real case scenario, and I wanted to be able to share the process with you. So I had a look at Dribble to find some inspiration about 3D Product Configurator. I hope you won't mind too much about my 3D skills and the poor share I gave you. I will improve soon, I promise. Are you ready? Let's go! Project setup. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is to create our project. For this, we are going to use Yarn and Vite. So Yarn create Vite. Project name, let's call it Chair Configurator. We will choose React and let's use JavaScript. Okay, so now our project is created. Let's open it. Chair Configurator. Open a new terminal and I will zoom in so you can read more easily. Now add all of the libraries we will require. So it's Three.js and React 3 Fiber. 3, React 3/Fiber, and useful helpers from the same team, React 3/Drei. Okay, so now it should be ready. Let's start it to see what we have so far. Yarn dev and open it. Okay, so we have the boilerplate template from Vite and React. Let's clean it a little bit. So we remove that, all of that. Okay, we don't need it. And we won't need anything from here. Now let's prepare our app with 100 viewport width and same for the height. Okay. Now we have an empty space. Let's see how to add Three.js to our scene. Okay, so let's add a canvas from React 3 Fiber, and inside we will create our basic component, which we will name experience. Let's add a components folder and experience.jsx experience equals to return. Okay, we have our component. Let's import it here. And yes, we have an error because we shouldn't add div inside our canvas. So let's add a basic component to see that Three.js is working inside our scene. Let's add a mesh. We will add a box geometry, so it will display a cube. Let's add a mesh normal material. And we should see our cube here, but it's only a square because the camera is just in front of it. But at least we have a canvas that is taking the whole screen, and we have Three.js setup because we can see our cube, even if it's not visually appealing. Scene setup. Okay, so to set up our scene, we won't start from scratch. We will see inside React 3 Fiber documentation what they have and what we could use. So in their documentation, what I liked was how they stage this model, which is a car. And everything is in place. The lighting setup is quite interesting, while there are just few lines of code. Look how React 3 Fiber make it very easy. And yes, So what can we use? First thing is they have a background, so let's add it to our scene too. We should add it inside the canvas. 10 is the color. So now you can see everything is black, but maybe it's a bit too black, so let's switch a bit. Let's put random digits, so here it's a bit brighter. Okay, what do we have? We have a fog, but we will add it later. We have an environment and presentation controls. Okay, in this example, they are using an environment which can be used directly on the stage. So what we will do is add the presentation controls and the stage. We go into our experience. We add both of them, but we will set up differently than them. And we import them. What we want, the environment, we won't use null value, but we will use some default value. We will use city, intensity 0.6. We won't use the shadow 2, and shadow bias, we don't mind. Okay, what do we have so far? Okay, now we can turn around our cube and it works. Now let me explain to you why. Presentation controls is from R3F Drei library, which are helpers. You can go to their documentation, which is their GitHub page, and you have all the helpers available here. So if we go to stage, we have here an explanation of what it is. And you have presentation controls too, and they explain every single parameter. Let's have a look at what polar do. Here it's defined to -0.1 and a quarter of circle. What it does is that I can't go below the cube and I can't go more than a quarter of circle up. So if we play with them, for example, -1, here if I reload, I can go below the cube. And if we do the same above, a half a circle, we can go way above. But the default parameters were good to me, so we will keep it. Okay, so now let's look how they have this glassy effect on the bottom, which looks very nice. What they use is this part, so we'll copy it. Don't be afraid to copy, as long as you train and understand what you're doing. It's nice. So we want it to be next to our stage. Let's save it. And I don't think we will need a lot of things more than that. How does it look? Okay, I have an error. It's because I didn't import this material, which comes from Drei. Here it is. And now it works and we have a nice effect on the bottom. Let's have a look at what we have. We have a mesh, which is rotated over the x-axis. We have a plane, which is the ground, the floor. And we have this special material, which looks very nice and is correctly set up from the React Fiber example. And we have this beautiful reflection effect. Now we won't use it, but let's have a look on other helpers. You can look at float, which I think doesn't require too much. And we will wrap our mesh inside of float. And let's see how it looks. Okay, I think it's poorly configured, so we will add a range from 0 to 1. And let's load it again. Okay. So what it does, it will automatically animate your model, your mesh, around the parameter it takes to give a floating effect. It looks very cool. Maybe we'll use it at the end, but for now we'll skip it. If you are used to Three.js, you will know that it's not an easy task to do it, even if it's doable for sure, but it's way more line of code. Okay, so let's remove it, and we will also remove our mesh, because it's time to load our model. Okay, so how do we load it? First of all, we can remove it, and React Fiber provides useful things to load a model. If you look at the documentation, which I highly recommend you to do to progress and improve, you can see they have a tutorial here on loading model. And what they do is basically use loader, and they're showing us a way to do it. So let's copy the import. Let's have access to our GLTF, which I haven't moved yet. And use it inside our stage. Okay, so now we need a GLTF model. So I created a chair on Blender, which comes with 2 legs that we will set up later to change from one to another. So where we need to put it in public, let's create a folder named models. And let's put our chair here. Now we can say models/chair.gltf. And now we have an error because suspense is unknown. So let's import it. It comes from React. We reload and we have the chair. We can see that we have both legs visible at the same time, which looks quite bad, but we have the default with the default material we set up in Blender, but we will want to customize it, so we won't load the model this way. But before going further, I'd like to add a fog here to not have this line that is separating the background from the plane. And I know they are using it here because we can't see it. So let's go back to our app and attach it with the same background color. Okay, so now we can see it's more diffuse the way the separation is made. Before moving to the UI, let's load our model differently and apply some textures. Generate model component. So what we did here was to load the model without knowing exactly what's inside, and we can't play with it easily without going into GLTF and knowing every properties. But there is another way to load our model. There is this beautiful tool named GLTF GSX. And it's a tool you will pass the model and it will generate a JavaScript file pre-set up with what you will need. So let's use it and see how it works. So our model is here, public models and chair. Okay, so now we have a chair.js. We will rename it, move it into the components, and let's look at what we have. It loaded my chair and it's separated the different meshes that constitute the model. So we have the chair, the cushion, and the separate legs. This way it will be easier for us to manipulate them. What I don't like is the naming, so I will do const chair and export default chair. And I think the path is wrong, so it's models. I think it's options you can pass to the library, but I didn't look at them. So maybe it's okay, we will see later. And here, instead of gltf loader, we will directly use our chair. And we have exactly the same we had before. But what is great is now I have access to the mesh, so I don't want to see two legs at the same time, so I can just say visible equals to false. And now we have just one leg. We will set up later with the UI interface. Okay, so I'm not very happy with the default materials because it looks a bit fake. And the 3D model I made looks quite fake because you can see it's a low polygon. So we will try to add some realistic material. It's called PBR, and it will help us have a realistic rendering. Let's go to 3dtextures.me, and you have 3 PBR textures. So the one we will use are leather, but you can choose whatever you like. It's just me, I chose those ones. So just select one you like. I will go with this one. We can colorize it later, so don't be afraid. It's just about the texture and the way the light impacted, so we can see a bit of light here. So click on download all the maps and download all the texture files. And we will also use another texture for the cushion. And let's go with this one. And of course, same applies, download all the texture, even if we won't use all of them. But I will explain to you later why. Okay, so in our public folder, let's add another folder named textures. One for leather, another one for fabric. And let's put inside our textures. Now let's go to our chair. We won't use the default materials for the chair and the cushion. For the legs, it's already a metallic material which looks fine, so we will keep it. So how to load our texture? We can go here to the documentation and read it carefully. They have two options. The first one is to use loader and to have it in an array, or the other way is to use with an object and to name it, so you can destructurate it in the props, and it works way easily to do that. So let's do it. Here we will say leather texture props. And what do we have? So let's open here. We have the map, which is for the color, which is named leather 008 base color. Well, we will rename it. It will be easier. Displacement map, we won't use it. For the normals, we will have normal. We have ambient occlusion and roughness. So it's roughness and ambient occlusion. Okay, so now we have our texture ready to use. So instead of using the material, inside our mesh, we will add a new standard material. and we will destructurate the leather texture props. Now what does it look? We have an error because used texture is not defined. Control space and import it. Another error, which is it doesn't find the texture itself because I forgot to add the path, the correct path. So it's leather slash now we have the leather, but it looks a bit too stretched. So what we can do is to multiply it 2 times. So for example, we can go on map on leather texture props .map .repeat .set, and let's multiply it by 2, and we will do it for every textures. So normal, roughness, and ambient occlusion. Now we can see it looks better, but it stretches on some places. It looks good just here, but it stretches on the other side. It's because we didn't define the correct way to wrap our texture when we multiply it. What we need to do is to go on every single texture, define wrap S, we'll say the same than wrap T, to assign both of them directly to 3.repeat wrapping. And 3 won't be defined, so what you need to do is import star as 3 from 3. And now it looks a bit better, but we still have an issue. And the issue is that I forgot to do it on every texture. So an easy way to do it is to add all texture here. So normal, roughness. Okay, and now our texture looks way better. Let's see if we need to do it 3 times instead of 2, but it's a matter of taste. So let's modify 2 by 3. Yeah, it looks more natural, so we'll keep it like that. Okay, now we will just do the same for the fabric. So let's name it fabric. Here, instead of this, it will be fabric slash fabric knitted 006. But I'm not sure it's the same name, so it's base color. And normal is lowercase. Okay. Occlusion is name ambient occlusion. Okay. Here we will do the same as well. And now we will add it to the cushion. So instead of using that material, we will use this. and it's fabric. Okay, so we have a black screen. Why is it? I think it's maybe because of suspense, so we will just get rid of it for the moment. And yes, it was the reason. Now we have good looking textures. And what we will do is move to the configuration. User interface. Okay, now create our user interface where we can configure the colors and the legs of this chair. So we will go the old way and won't bother with any CSS framework. So aside from our canvas, let's create a component we will call configurator. And let's create our component configurator. Configurator equals, okay. Return hello, export default configurator, and add a class name configurator. Okay, now we can import it and we will do all the CSS here. That's why I was talking about the old way. So configurator position, we will fix it on the right of the screen. So right 24 pixels. The width, let's define something completely arbitrary. Bottom 25 viewport height. Add a color which we will define white for all the text. So we see here we will have a box where we can configure our user interface. We will add some padding, let's say 16 pixels. Okay. To make it simple, we will start by the material and the legs, and then we will do the colors. So let's set up more in depth our experience. We will have sections, which name configurator section. They will have a title. So we will have chair material. They will have values. And inside there will be items. So let's start from scratch. Item. We will have two items. So item value. No, item label. We'll name leather. And a second one we'll name fabric. Okay, it should look ugly so far, so we will add some fonts. Let's go to fonts, choose Poppins, which is my go-to font. We'll use a CSS import in the CSS file and font family Poppins. Oh, sans serif. Why is it all bold? Did I import only the bold? No, okay, we'll see later. So title, values, items, okay, and we have, oh yes, chair material, leather, fabric. Let's style it a bit. Okay, so configurator section title. Is it the right name? Yes. We will add some font weight bold, text transform uppercase. Then we have our values, which will be in display flex, align items center, and gap 16 pixels. Then we will have the label, font size, let's put it small, a color not white but grayish, okay, and let's add a margin top here of 24 pixels. Okay, nice. Let's add a hover effect on our item. So opacity 0.8, cursor pointer, and we want to avoid this select text effect. So always Google no select CSS and copy the first answer from Stack Overflow and add it in your root element. Okay, now it doesn't select and we can click here and here. Okay, so we have the basic, we will fine tune it later. So now we will create a context. So let's create a folder named context and name it customization.jsx. Customization context equals to create context, and we will put an empty object. Export const customization provider. It will take some props, and we will return customization context.provider with some value we will create later. And inside we will put the children. Export const use customization equals to context equal to use context from our context, and we return our context. Okay, so now what do we need? What we will need is a material. So let's name it material and set material. Use state, and the default one will be leather. And here we will make accessible material and set material. Perfect. If I didn't make a mistake, our context is ready. Our hook too, this one, use customization. And here in our configurator, we will be using this context. So const material and set material equal use customization. Here on click, what we will do is set material to leather, and on this option we will set fabric. Okay, we can log because we all like logs. So let's log what we make. now if we look at the console, they say set material is not a function. And it must be because I didn't wrap the app inside the customization provider. So now does it work? And yes, it's a leather fabric, perfect. Okay, so now before configuring our chair, let's add some details here. We'll add a conditional class, which is item active only if material equal to leather. Here. And here the same if the material is fabric. Well, it's not generic, but for this one we won't do a generic use case. Okay, and there's no change because we didn't set up any CSS. So let's go into item when it's active. Our item label, we want it to be white. And we can add some fancy effect, which is to animate our item. Transition all, and here we'll do the same for the color. Here we could define opacity. And now you can change easily the values. So now we go into our chair. We can also use our hook, which is use customization. And when we arrive, well, maybe it's taking too much space. When we are here, instead of always putting leather, we will see is material equal to leather. So yes, if not, we are destructuring fabric because it means we are the other one. Well, if we had multiple materials, we would do it another way, but it works for our use case. And now we can switch between leather and fabric. Let's switch directly to the legs because it will be really the same case. So let's start by our hook. Let's do legs, set legs. We have two models, so we will use a number, legs, set legs. In our configurator, we will do another section, which is here, legs. We will name the first one design and the second one classic or modern. Okay. And here it will be if legs is 1, and when we click set legs to 1, and here set legs to 2. It's active if legs is equal to 2, and should be fine. Now in our chair, instead of just setting manually visible, we will do legs equal to, where is it? Here. No, it's here, visible equals to legs equal 1, but we didn't get it from our hook, so it's here, legs. Now, if we look here, we have an error because it says it doesn't know what legs are because we did the same mistake here. It's in our configurator. We need to define legs and set legs from our hook. Okay, so now I can switch between legs. I hope you prefer the modern, but it's just a matter of taste. Now we have an issue because our section looks bad because they are too close one to another. So what we will do is our configurator. Let's display it in flex direction to column, and let's add a gap to 32 pixels. Now the sections are evenly spaced. Maybe here there is too much space. Well, it's okay, it's okay. Okay, now let's add the colors. Same way, we will start by the hook. In order we don't die together, I created some colors arrays. It's not the best ones, but it works. So we have chair colors and cushion colors. It's actually the same, but I separated them if you want to customize it just after when you will get the project. And let's add chair color and cushion color, set cushion color. And what we will do is chair colors the first element, and same here. So we have nice default value. And we need to export them. Okay, and what we need to do is to go to our configurator and add a section for the colors. So, okay, we will add it here. Chair color. And now what we will need to do is to loop through our elements instead of writing them manually. So here, instead of this, we will need to wrap them here. We will do chair colors, which should be exported from our customization file, which is not the case, so let's do it. We will map them. We'll get an item and an index, and we will render our value. So here. We will need to add a key because we are looping through items. We will use their index. It's not a matter. And here. What will we do? Okay, so we need chair color, set chair color, cushion color, and set cushion color. Okay, it seems I didn't export them. Yes, I did. I don't know why I didn't have auto-completion available. So here, what we do is item.color equals to chair color.color, because we can't compare array instance, so I prefer to use the color, and set color will set the item. Here we will display item.name. Is it name? Yes, the name of the color. But we want to display it, so we will create something name item dot. It will be a little bubble. Style background color and item.color. Perfect. Now we have item label. We will need item dot. What we will do is with 32 pixels, height 32, border radius 100%, and let's add a border solid 2 pixel to something gray. Okay. And let's add some margin. Oh, if there is only label. Okay, let's do a display flex. Flex direction column and gap 8 pixel. Okay, how does it look? It looks not so bad, but the colors are too close one to another. So what we can do is to have section value. Where is it? Here. Increase the gap. Okay, and we need the other colors to appear. So flex wrap. And here we have all the colors. Maybe it's too spread. Okay, looks better now. When we set the color, it doesn't work, so we need to see why. And we should add a white border to the dot. So item dot item active item dot border solid 2 pixels and white. Okay, it looks better. So now why the click is not working? We set color. Oh, it doesn't exist. It should work better now. Okay, perfect. And nothing happened because we didn't code it. But let's do the same section for the cushion. It will be very fast. We need to say cushion color. Whoa, sorry for that. Cushion and cushion set cushion. Okay. Okay, should be good. Now we can change it, change the material, classic, and now let's set up our color. So if we go to our chair, we need the chair color and the cushion one. So on our material, what we will add is the color from the chair and from the cushion. You might think we are done yet, but it doesn't work. Why? Because of a simple reason, which is we are using the color map. So it's already coming from the texture file. So we will need to disable it here, here, and here. And now the color should come from what I define. But it doesn't work because it's an object, and inside the object there is the actual color. And now it's working way better. So you can switch from leather to fabric. You can change the color based on the material. It looks good or not. You can change the cushion color. So this combo is not so bad, is it? And you can switch the different legs. Of course, you can always go way further than what I did here. You can add some animations that when you will press on a new color, it do a whole turn, or it will place the camera here, and when you switch the legs, it will automatically come here and switch the legs. But you have the source code, so feel free to do it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had really fun to build this experience because it was also training for me for Three.js, React Refiber and Blender. If you want more tutorials of Three.js, please ask me in the comments and tell me what subject you want me to go into. It would be a real pleasure because it's a topic I really like. If you have any questions, please join our Discord community. If ever you can add a thumb up, it will be really helpful to help this channel grow. If it's not already the case, please subscribe to this channel to be notified when there are new tutorials. Thanks for watching, bye bye!